The Indian Jesuit Anthony de Mello has many, many wonderful stories, and probably many of you have heard some of them over the years. He tells a certain story of a Hindu wise man who is the leader of a spiritual community in the rural part of India. And at this ashram, people from all over go to travel and see this Indian wise man because of his great good counsel and the many blessings that they receive from him. One day, this Indian wise man is meditating, and he sees a shadow come across the doorway in his ashram. He welcomes the man in, and the man, with a desperate look on his face, pleads for the holy man to teach him how he might find wealth. He asks, "Is there anything you have that you can give me that I might sell and perhaps be able to start a business?" And the Indian man, the holy man, he shakes his head for a moment, scratches his chin, and says, "I think I might have just the thing." And he goes to what seems to be a pile of refuse in this corner of the ashram, and he pulls out a bag. And the bag is kind of fist-sized, actually. And he gives it to the man and says, "Maybe this will help." And the man opens up the bag, and without saying thank you, he turns tail and runs out the door with the bag in hand. Now, what he found in the bag was a diamond about the size of a fist. And he ran fast because he didn't want the Hindu wise man to change his mind and ask him to bring it back. However, the next day, as the Hindu wise man is meditating, he sees a shadow across the doorway again and beckons the man to come forward. It's the same man. And he's bringing the bag. And he asks him, "Well, was there something wrong with what I gave you?" And the man says to him with great earnestness, "I want to know, what is the real treasure you possess that you gave this to me so freely?" So, my friends, what is your real treasure? What would you cherish and hold on to in place of a diamond the size of your fist? I'll give you a moment to think about that. What would you cherish and hold as treasure more valuable than a diamond the size of your fist? Maybe the well-being and closeness of your family, the love and affection of your spouse, the health of your children and grandchildren, the satisfaction of making a difference in the life of another person, meaningful and satisfying work. You might ask me, "Father David, just a few weeks ago you were saying that we should see things from a both-and perspective, so what's this either-or business? Does it have to be one or the other? God or material things?" I suppose it doesn't have to be. I know a few wealthy people who are very faith-filled, generous with what they have, giving freely to charities, being great benefactors for those in need, even devoting their own time and talent to those who need it. People who do not have greater attachment to their wealth than to people. However, the story of our human history says that this is more the exception than the rule. That acquisitiveness, avarice, greed, whatever you want to call it, is very much a part of our condition and hard to avoid. St. Ignatius, the founder of the Jesuits, said that greed is an easy path to vanity, and vanity is the path to pride. Or you've heard it before, that greed is the root of all evils. You might wonder, in this economy, who has to worry, right? If our poverty rate is the highest in this country it's been since we've measured it, then who of us really has to worry about greed? But the reality is that the top 1 to 5% in this country keep getting richer, and that the disparity between the rich and the poor continues to widen. So, what do we do? How do we keep our balance? Is it simply enough to try to strive for a middle way between avoiding poverty, but also not really striving for wealth, of maintaining a sort of balanced middle-class livelihood? Maybe yes, maybe no. A Jesuit friend of mine, Dean Brackley, who is down in El Salvador and went down immediately after the Jesuits were martyred there in 1989, he writes about the importance of not upward mobility, but downward mobility. That when we willingly simplify our lives, that we find more space for happiness, for connection, for the things that we truly find meaningful. My mom, I shouldn't say. I was going to say this. No, I'm going to say it. Okay, my mom's made a big decision. She's turning 65 this year. I'm sorry, Mom, if you watch this on YouTube. My mom's turned 65 this year, and I'm so proud of her. She's made a huge decision to sell the house that we grew up in Rochester, to get rid of so many things, to downsize to a ranch-level, one-level condo. And as we've been going through our things, and I had to ditch 10 boxes of books, really, and my sister had to get rid of things, my mom has been expressing this sense of joyfulness, this sense of liberation in letting go of the things that had kind of grown up and cluttered our house. And that she feels a kind of freedom now in moving to a smaller place. That downward mobility, downsizing, can actually be liberating. What really seems to matter, if we come back to Jesus here, is Jesus' perspective of what theologians have called the fundamental option. Have we made a fundamental option in our lives to live a spiritual life rather than a simply material one? Can we appreciate the real merits of a sensible simplicity, resisting what the world tells us, that somehow we have to equate our self-esteem with our buying power? Do we, in our preferential option for a spiritual life, give priority to giving more than taking, of making our desire to help and serve others concrete on a daily basis? Are we generous when we can be? I'm going to risk Glenn Beck's ire and use the word social justice here. Social justice is really to have right relationship with the things of this world so that we can be generous with those who are poor. And I know that this is a parish and a community that values social justice and availability to those who are in need. The beauty, though, of God's design is that in choosing a sensible simplicity, in making a preferential option for a spiritual life more than a material one, we discover that this is also the path to true joy. That just as the desperate man returns to the Indian Hindu, the holy man, and asks, "Where is your real treasure, that I might possess that rather than this diamond?" May we continue to grow in our own inner freedom to embrace the real treasures in our life.